Ladies and gentlemen, the show we've all been waiting for, Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present REP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts, Kim Purvis and Allison Robinson. Live every Thursday night on Spreaker, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Be sure to check out their Facebook page, REP Paranormal Busters.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody to another night of REP Paranormal and Friends. We have a special guest. It's kind of like doing part two. This time it's a live show with Penny and Griffith Morgan. So thank you for being on and thank you for staying up. It's like 1 o'clock her time, everybody. So
it is, yeah. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Yep.
So how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. It's been my youngest son's 7th birthday today, so it's been a pretty full-on day because his best friend came over and they are like whirling dervishes around the house, and he was asking for his birthday cake by about 9 o'clock this morning. Could he have cake because it was his birthday? So he came up with it because it's his birthday. He gets everything he wants, and he was very annoyed that birthday cake did not mean coming at 9 o'clock for breakfast. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's been very humid in the UK, very sort of can't sleep and all that kind of thing. But it's cooled down a bit because we've had a few storms. So yeah. But it's been an interesting 6 months, I must admit, since when our lockdown started and the kids came out of school. It's been possibly the longest summer holiday I think I have ever experienced. 6 months of it, basically.
I second that. I'm so ready for the kids to go back to school.
I'm ready for 2020 to go bye-bye.
Yeah. Well, you've not had a great year, have you, Kim? But no, I've just been sort of trying to do as much as I can and just carry on keep it as normal as possible for them. And yeah, but today it's been a long day today. It's been seeing a 7-year-old is so excited, every present, it's the best day ever, and so yeah, it's been quite cute. It has been quite cute. Just hard work.
I did see some pictures, yes, that you had shared. So it's like, oh, looked at you. Yeah, you guys must have went out and did something yesterday.
We went out for dinner last night, but the picture I actually posted on social media of him in the sort of the cap is actually an old picture from last year. It's just one I just
gotcha.
I love because it's his quirkiness and everything. But no, I couldn't really have posted any of today's pictures because one of the things about it, he doesn't like wearing clothes at the moment, and. I'm careful not to post too many I'm careful not to post too many personal details about my kids on social media, but the thought of posting them sort of semi-clothed and everything else, I thought, no, let's find a cute picture from last year and use that one as the... Yeah.
Gosh, yeah. I agree with you there. I wouldn't... Yeah. No way. Anyways, so let's go ahead and kind of recap for... last time, if anybody had missed the show and didn't get a chance to listen to that, just kind of give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Yep, well, as you can probably tell, I'm in England. I'm English. And my name's Penny Griffith Morgan. I basically am Haunted Histories. So if ever you see my website, the blogs, the Facebook page, the YouTube channel, the podcast... all that kind of thing. Anything that says Haunted Histories is basically me, my alter ego. And I was called recently by Steve Higgins of Higgy Pop a paranormal historian, which is kind of how I brand myself. So I'm a historian in that I love history and I love delving into it and researching it and everything else. But what I noticed was I think history and the paranormal are inextricably linked. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is what people come out with these facts about places or perceived facts, and they don't show any historical justification for some of them, like the sweeping statements when you hear a certain place had 8,000 deaths in it. And it's like, well, where have you got that figure from? What are you basing that on? Right. Or even something simple like somebody gets a name come through. If you can actually find that in like the census for the area, you can't always do it depending on dates, but if you can find that, say, in a census or the name in a newspaper article from the right time, anything like that, it just goes to help validate that piece of evidence and not be like, oh, well, it could be this, it could be that. But and that's really where I got into it, sort of kind of partly to prove people's evidence as well as debunk some of the claims I hear about places. It's made me a bit unpopular at times, but it's also made me popular when I've been able to prove stuff for people. So, and that's me. So whether it's the podcast, whether it's writing, I've 2 books. I write for Haunted magazine and other things. I do like sort of history videos, bite-sized history videos I've started putting up on YouTube. Yes, anything to do with history and kind of linking it in with the paranormal and how it fits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last time we kind of talked about how, because I think we talked about your book, Haunted Experiment. I think that's the one we talked about last time. And we kind of talked about how, trigger objects and things and how you would use time period music. And I can't remember if Kim and I had told you this, but shortly after we had been to Malvern and we played the Glenn Miller.
Okay.
I might have messaged you about it. I can't remember. But we played it in Susie's room. Mm-hmm. And the K2 was actually lighting up to the beat of the Glenn Miller song.
Brilliant.
It was kind of interesting. It was we tried different music, but that's the only one that we seemed to get any kind of interaction with, which was kind of...
Yeah, and the music was across the room, so it wasn't interfering with the K2.
Right,
yeah.
Because I kept moving it to make sure and trying everything.
Yeah,
and
I love triggers.
I turned my SB11 on.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it was playing Christmas music, like a radio.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. You don't think to hear Christmas music in the middle of summer.
But we just talked to her about it, and it was like the weekend after, and then we have Christmas music.
Yeah.
Oh, once you talk to me, girls, you open a whole new portal of things. I just love triggers. I know there's an awful lot of people who are, and I know I've said this, and I find all the different tools and experiments you can use fascinating, but I know there's an awful lot of EVP enthusiasts and various other sort of things that they can use. I love triggers, and the reason I love triggers is because they don't cost very much money. You can do them, on a budget. You don't have to spend loads of money, like loads of expensive digital recorders or video cameras or Ovilus and all that kind of thing. It's literally wherever your imagination ends is where the trigger would end. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I love is when I'm researching for a new podcast show. Is finding things in the sort of the research that I think, wow, I wonder if they've ever used that as a trigger, like a piece of information. Mm-hmm. And I tend to give that to some of the researchers that I then interview and say, just try going in and doing this. And I think there was one, it was for Elijah Buchholz for Apex Paranormal. It's one of the buildings they investigate. And I can't for the life of me think what the building was called. But I found out that the guy who'd owned it was a massive fan of like Shakespeare, and he didn't know that. And I said, go in and sort of read from this poet's work. I don't think it was Shakespeare. I think it was Byron I'd found. But he had like an original Byron or something. And I said, go in and read Byron, because he was obviously a Byron fan. And I haven't spoken to Elijah since, really. But I love giving those little bits out to people. Like if I find something, and see if it works, because if it meant something to that person in life, it's going to trigger something. So triggers don't have to be like expensive antiques and everything else. It can just be, like you say, playing a Glenn Miller song, or in my case, in the book, I talked about I was playing heavy metal music in an old rock venue that triggered it. Well, actually, I was singing along to an AC/DC song, and all the K2s went up to red as I hit the high note.
They liked it.
They either liked it or they didn't. I'm not sure which. It could have been either or. But the atmosphere in there, I think they enjoyed it. But the point is, you don't have to spend a lot of money on them, and you can have fun with them, and it's not disrespectful fun. You know what I mean? It's not. It's having fun with any spirit that's there, but it's not disrespecting them. Because, say for example, when I did RAF Tiverton, which was a former US Air Force base, and I mentioned that in the book, Haunted Experiment as well. Yep. And the four of us were sitting there, and Gaynor, who was one of the investigators with me, she goes, I've got some Glenn Miller on my phone, should we play it? And we got it playing as we're chatting, as you do, to try, sort of almost like not really paying any attention to what's going on, because nothing was really happening. So we did that thing of ignore them, and they want to come and play. Yeah. And I just went, I wonder if anyone wants to dance with me, like Glenn Miller's playing. And suddenly my arm got grabbed. And my husband's sitting there, and I went, someone's just grabbed my arm. And I saw my sleeve get an indentation on it. And he was like, it's all right, I don't mind. You like men in uniform, go for it. So it's kind of it's sort of a joking type of thing, but it's not disrespectful. It's having a laugh with someone. It's having, I mean, in Essex we call it a bit of banter, but it's not being disrespectful or taking the mickey out of them. It's treating them like I would talk to you, if that makes sense. And I think that's the thing with triggers, that you can use them, yes, to elicit activity, but you're not being disrespectful, which is one of my big things, is being disrespectful. Exactly. But music is amazing. Music is such a powerful tool. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
It is.
Like us playing with the hula hoops over at Edinburgh.
Oh yeah, we were just at Edinburgh.
We asked the spirit over at the cemetery if he would drop the temperature down to a certain degree. And Allison would do cartwheels, and I would go play with the hula hoop. Yeah. Well, he dropped it, and we had to do the cartwheels and the hula hoop for him.
Hey, it was the deal, right? It was the deal.
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was actually pretty interesting, because then
he followed us over to Edinburgh.
Yeah, and we had some more interaction with him there. So it was pretty interesting. I mean,
we were having fun with him.
That's right, yeah. Because, he was, I think about 8.
8, yeah, Henry.
Yeah. So it's not fun in a disrespectful way. It's fun as if you would have with them if they were flesh and blood.
Exactly.
And that's what I think people don't always understand. They think that you're not coercing, but you're kind of... I can't even think what the word would be that I'd want to use to describe it, but that you are sort of, using them and whatever. They don't... but my theory is, if you've got something that's a sentient being, whether it's got a physical body or not, it's going to want that contact. It's going to want that sort of thing that it would have had with you when it was physical. So what's the difference? What is the difference? If if you make a deal with a spirit saying, look, I'll crack a joke and make everyone laugh if you do this for me.
Right.
It's no different to what I'd do if I was trying to persuade one of my kids, to do something. I might turn around and say, all right, if I give you this chocolate bar, will you do this? Exactly. It's no different. It's no different. Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. We just like to come up with new things and different things to try to interact with them. But a lot of times, like, you have said, just us talking and not paying attention, we seem to get them to interact with us more, because they're like, hey, hello, I'm here. But
I find that a lot. I mean, I know before we had the lockdown, because people have just started investigating again in the UK, but not on a big scale. And I was at a place called Leopard Inn in Stoke-on-Trent, which was where what they call the potteries were. And this pub, it's not as vibrant as it would have been back in the 1800s, and it's got this 50-room hotel out the back of it from the 1800s, which is literally just derelict and locked up. It's amazing. And I was there with somebody called Chris Chell, who runs a company called Haunted Houses Events, and I'd gone as kind of the quasi-special guest of the event. And it was really quiet. I mean, you could feel there was something there, but it was really quiet. And him and I just started chatting, and you could see the guests were a bit like, oh, why are we being ignored? Like the actual guests, the physical guests were like, why are we being, they were all newbies. Why are we being ignored? And after about 5 minutes, Chris sort of said, you might have wondered why Penny and I just started talking amongst ourselves, but this is the reason. And we started explaining it, and they got it so quickly, these guests. They were a brilliant crew, I tell you. For people who'd never done it before, they were so quick off the mark. And they started doing it as well amongst themselves. And yes, things would then start happening. And I think people forget that kind of thing, and it's almost and they don't realise that I see a lot of people slate these sort of public investigations and saying it's not a proper investigation, it's not this, it's not meant to be a proper one, it's a snapshot.
Right.
But you go with a good company, they'll teach you some of the techniques.
Exactly.
And you can't teach. I don't know all of them yet. I read a lot, I learn a lot. I don't know all of them yet.
Right.
But by teaching these people who'd never done it before, like a few little things, so that next time they go, they'll learn a few more things and a few more things. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's one that I've found every single investigator I've ever spoken to has said, yep, you start just chatting amongst yourselves, and you can guarantee that's when the figure will walk past the door, or that's when something will crash shut, or especially if you have a joke amongst yourselves and start laughing, and then bah, it starts. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's seems like when we get a lot of our things, which is fine. I'm sticking to the chair.
I tell you what, I've got shorts on, right? And I'm sitting on a wooden chair, and I've actually put a towel underneath it, because this is where I sit and do my work during the day, and it's been so hot here, it's been like peeling my skin off when I've had to get up off the chair. So yeah, I'm actually, it looks really gross, but I'm having to sit on a towel so that I don't peel.
I know, I'm sticking to Kim's chair here. I'm just like, I'm not really sweating, I don't think, but I'm just sticking to it. It's like,
It's going to be some suspicious noises when you try and stand up.
Probably. It's not a fart, I promise.
It's paranormal.
Oh, gosh. That's too funny.
Yeah, I've got a new project getting ready to figure out how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to use the memory game.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to get some, paper, the big sheets, poster boards.
Yeah.
And make my squares, and then flip all the characters over so they can see them, and then flip them back over, and then I'll have A1, A2, and see if we can get them to, like on our SB7 or even on the Necrophonics, if they'll say, okay, I want to see A1 and like C3 and see if that works.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we've tried writing things down or pictures on paper too, to see if they would come up with what we're holding up.
Yeah.
But, it's just different things to see, because, I don't think, they're like, if you just ask them the same questions over and over again.
Yeah.
They like to interact. They were, humans too at one time. They like to have fun. They like to play games, and
that's exactly my point.
They join in.
I try never to ask the normal questions when I'm doing an EVP session or a spirit box session, whatever it is. I have this thing of I kind of drift out and see what question comes into my mind, and it normally has quite good results. I was at a place called Ettington Park Hotel earlier this year, and what was the question I asked? I think we were in the old family church, and I said, so what battle were you in, or war were you in, something like that, and we got an answer, and it was the name of a battle. So and things like that, and there's a room at this hotel that people are scared of because supposedly the maid doesn't want them in there and everything. And my question was, is it that you don't want people in here, or are you just trying to be hospitable and lay their clothes out for them? Things like that, and coming up with questions rather than, did you die here? How old were you? What's your name? Which you normally find are the standard ones people answer. I might say, what school did you go to? Or what's your middle name, or what church were you baptized at, or if something like that, just to get them talking. But my theory is, I think about it as similar to like you say, you're coming up with new ways to talk to them. It's a bit like when famous people are doing the press junkets for their new film. You know, they're asked the same question 1,000 times that day. And, you know, they quite like it when someone comes in and asks something quite left of field that they weren't expecting.
Right.
And I work on the same principle that if you've got places that are being investigated a lot, these poor spirits, if it is the same one, is being asked the same thing every single time. And they're going to be like, oh, I can't be bothered to answer it. I've answered that to like 1,000 of you. Think of something else. And I think it's the same. It's like when you're playing a game or something with them, like a child spirit. Think of a game that maybe is going to make them go, oh, what do I have to do here then? Rather than, oh, it's a teddy bear. Okay. All right, I've seen them. I've pushed the ball before. I don't want to do that again. So, yeah, maybe if you can do cartwheels, saying, come on, can you do some cartwheels with me? Or things like that are just a bit different for them. Right. It's thinking outside of the box, isn't it?
Yeah. Darren had a good point. He says he would like to know if they have questions for us. Yeah,
I have asked that question before. I have actually said, is there anything you'd like to know about me? And never really got a definite answer. But I mean, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they must do. They must have, you know, if they're interested in people, they must want to know if you're married or if you've got kids or what your job is or all those kind of things that you would ask someone when you first met them. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. And then Christopher says, do I have blue undies or black? That's one of his questions.
Okay.
I mean, that is a different question to ask him, I guess.
We did actually have something similar to that. I was in Kelvin and Hatch nuclear bunker, and this medium was communicating with this spirit. I had him in my head as well, and his question was, he said, which woman is wearing the bright purple bra? And all the women are looking at each other, sort of going, and we're all sort of getting the bra straps out to check what colour I were. And there was a girl in a bright purple. You couldn't see it under a t-shirt. There was no way he could have known there was a girl in a bright purple bra. So yeah, it was just like, you know, I think I mentally said to the spirit, stop being such a perv. You know, stop looking. And then it's like, oh God, does that mean they have X-ray eyes? You know, can they see what your underwear is? And so if you've got something kinky on, they can see it, and you're thinking, oh crumbs. Brings a whole new light to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I'm gonna have to watch what I wear.
Well, I think even more if you've got a bloke wearing his wife's underwear or whatever, that's going to produce quite a lot of hilarity, isn't it?
Yeah, I could just see it coming across the thing. That man's wearing a thong. A lacy red thong.
If it ever happens, actually no, I might do that. I might dare my husband to do that one time on an investigation, and then ask the question which bloke in here is wearing women's underwear and see what comes up.
That would be so hilarious. It really would be, actually.
Oh dear. That's an idea, actually. Oh dearie me. I am sober, I promise.
That's okay. We like to have fun every now and then. You can't just have all seriousness on the show.
I know. There's nothing wrong with a bit of fun. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
We like to have fun with our spirits too. So.
Yep.
Exactly. Have a laugh and a joke with them. Yes, yep. I agree.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Has Darren started in on his questions yet?
Yeah, he started his questions already.
Okay, we have some questions here rolling in
cool.
on chat.
Well, I remember, wasn't it Darren who last time said, "Oh, I wish he was live. I had loads of questions to ask."
Yes, yes, yep. It was.
Okay, fire away.
Okay. All right. Well, he started. Okay, Darren, keep rolling with your questions. All right. He would like to know how many investigations
has she been on?
Okay.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. He's been drinking Mike's hard lemonade, so some of these might not make very much sense, so I'll have to decipher them.
How many investigations? Oh, crumbs. What, different places or actual numbers of times I've investigated? Because it's whether you class an investigation as being like 7-8 hours in a place, or even when I've been somewhere for just an hour and I've gone in with a digital recorder just almost to have a play because like middle of the day and it's a place that won't let you do them. I couldn't tell you. It's probably nudging 80 to 90 in if not more. I don't think I could put a number on it because I almost look at it that if I sense something in a place, or if I know it's quiet in a place, like an old house or a fort or whatever, I just get the digital recorder out and just start asking questions and see if anything happens. So it's like burst investigations. Right. Yeah, I'd say I'm always intrigued if I sort of think there's something feels a bit like different here. Okay, let's see if anything happens. And because there's so many places that won't allow you to do investigations, like proper ones, at night. And so you have to try and get to them when they're quiet during the day, when the staff just let you in as a normal visitor and see what you can find. So yes, I would have said sort of probably 80 to 90 off the top of my head. I don't keep count anymore.
Yeah, I don't know how many I've been on either. I've lost count.
Melbourne,
it's kind of
many times.
Melbourne, yeah, too many times. I can't even.
You see, that's
how many times we've been there.
Going there to see Kiefer is still on my to-do list. It's something
you got to.
Really
I still got to get him to do that. I still got to get him to dress like that.
It's one of those things I've got to do. I even told Nick Groff that we said that about him, that he's got to do a Kiefer impression, and Nick quite liked that idea as well. So we'll bully him into doing it.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. That'll work. If I can't do it, he will. He'll get him to do it. All right. And then he wants to know how many years have you been into the
officially? Probably about 8.
Okay.
But it's not. I've told this story a million times. I've always been interested in it ever since I was little. I used to have experiences where my parents live in Norfolk in England, but I kind of pushed it to one side when I hit my 20s, and I never knew you could do investigations. It wasn't something that I was able to find out about, if that makes sense. And I pushed it to one side when I was in my 20s. I thought, I've got to get a decent job, got to get a mortgage, just get on with life. And then I was doing night feeds with my youngest son, and I was going through the television, literally feeding him in one arm, going through the television at 2:00 in the morning, trying to find something to watch to keep me amused, because he was a slow feeder. And I found Ghost Asylum with the Tennessee Racehorses. Now, and it was like a back-to-back, like 3 episodes. And once I got my ear into the accents, I thought, this is quite good fun. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know there was like flashy gadgets and everything else. And the next day, I got on Google and started looking for groups that wanted trainee investigators. And just went from there, really. And that was about 8. Well, yeah, it's 7.5, 8 years ago now.
Oh wow!
So, nice. So yeah, that's how long I've been doing it officially. But I've always had an interest in it, and I've always had experiences. I just didn't know you could investigate. I didn't know that there was a field for it, because it's not something I had ever fallen into. I find so many people, they'll come on, their friend will bring them on an investigation now, one of the public ones, and they'll go, I didn't know this existed. I didn't know you could do this kind of stuff. And I think it's one of those things that unless you find out, you don't always realise it's there. And so many of the sort of mums at my son's school, when they find out what I do as a quasi hobby, they're like, I never knew you could do that. Really? And I thought, oh yeah. And a few of them have had a go at it as well. And so, yeah, not as long as I'd like to, but I'm there now and I'm quite involved in it, as you can tell.
A lot of my youngest daughter, well, I think some of my older ones too, they call me a Ghostbuster.
Yeah.
They want to go ghost busting with me.
Yeah. My elder son's friends call me the Ghostbuster. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't. He sort of knows Mummy's a paranormal investigator and a historian, but they call me the Ghostbuster, but that's fine. They're 10, 11 years old. That's fine. They can call me that. But yeah, it's one of those things though that I think no matter how long you've been doing it, you're always learning. You're always and I have a real bee in
stop learning.
No. I have a real bee in my bonnet when people claim themselves as being an expert in the paranormal.
Exactly.
You can say you're experienced in it. You can't say you're an expert, because I think you can only say you're an expert if you know the answer is 100% the truth.
Exactly.
And you know that what you've experienced is the truth, but you don't know what's caused that experience. And so I don't, even in 30 years' time, I don't think I'd ever say I was an expert. I'd just say I've been doing this for that long. Even in some of the history things that I focus on, like the workhouses and everything else, I wouldn't call myself an expert, because I discover the more I learn, the less I realise I know. And I'm always learning from someone. So even someone who maybe has only been doing the investigating 6 months, they might have had an experience that I'm like, wow, I've never done. Oh, really? What happened? What led up to that? What was and you learn from them. So, and sometimes the people who've not been doing it very long are the ones who have the best ideas, because they aren't sort of kind of indoctrinated yet as to this is how we do it.
Right.
They'll go, well, why do we do it like that? Why don't we do it like this? And you're like, don't know. Good question. Let's have a go. Yeah. And I think that's sometimes what when people get a bit sort of like, oh, you're new to the industry, are you? Well, yeah, so is everyone at one point. There's nothing wrong with it. So yeah, embrace it. I think it's, as long as you just keep an open mind and keep knowing you're going to be learning something every time you talk to someone.
Yep, absolutely. I agree 100%. Okay, let's see here.
Come on, Darren, next question.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. I've been writing as you're talking too. So.
Really? That many?
He's still whipping them out.
Wow.
Okay, what's been your favorite location that you have written about?
There's two, if I'm allowed to. There's RAF Tibenham, which was the US Air Force base that Jimmy Stewart flew Liberators from in World War II. Never been investigated before. It's taken me, I've wanted to go there since I started doing this, and it was last year that my dad got us approval, because he flies from there as a hobby. It's a glider base now. There's not a lot there. The old runways are pretty much all that's there from its World War II days. But I wrote about that one in A Haunted Experiment, and it's somewhere I've wanted to get back to. And I found out that the chairman of the club, the gliding club that's there, was so impressed with some of the stuff we came up with and were able to validate. He wants me to come back and do more.
Oh, awesome.
Which is a massive compliment. Yeah. So I'm working on another sort of angle of incorporating the whole Jimmy Stewart link and going back to Tibenham, which I'm really excited about, and a book in a couple of years, probably 2022 this project will be, with the other things I've got lined up. The other place, I mean, I've got loads of places I love, but Tibenham for definite, because it took me, I've been going there since I was about 4 years old, always felt something was weird there. Even my late sister used to think there was something weird going on there. So that was amazing to be able to get in there and try and get down to some of it. The other place is a fort in a place called Felixstowe in Suffolk, which is kind of the East Anglia, the bumpy bit on the side of England. I wrote about that one in my first book, My Haunted History. And I just, the minute I walked through the doors at that place, like these huge doors, I was just like, I've been here before. And I hadn't. And I had some very interesting experiences there on the night. Even when I went back sort of 3 or 4 weeks later with my family as a day trip, I had some experiences with my youngest son that I can't explain. And it doesn't intimidate me, this place. I just feel at home. I feel like I've got some kind of link to it. I don't know what it is. But that's one I'd like to do more work in. But it's just, yeah, those are probably my two favourites. But I mean, there's so many I've been to. Leopard Inn was great, the one with the old hotel out the back. Drakelow Tunnels is another one. Honestly, yeah, but those are my two probably top favourites, just because of Tibenham, because of how long I've been going there, like 40 odd years, and the fact that they don't allow investigations there, but they're allowing me to come back and do more work.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's a massive compliment. In fact, one of the board, he's actually a historian as well, and he's actually asked to come on some of the investigations with me because he's so intrigued. So that's a massive compliment. And at Langard, because of I just feel so sort of like at ease there, and yeah, so those are probably my two, but I just get to go to some amazing places, and I just appreciate it so much that I get to explore these places after dark and get to just absorb it all. It's amazing.
We gotta get her to the States.
Huh?
We gotta get her to the States.
I know. We gotta get you here.
Honestly,
we need to
it's
get over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't come at the moment. You can't get in anywhere.
No.
But it's. I mean, I was supposed to be going to Canada this year to do Picton Heights with Wes Coleman from Cops, and obviously that got postponed, cancelled, however you want to look at it. But no, there's so many. I mean, Malvern, Villisca, Missouri State Penitentiary, Eastern State Penitentiary, all these places that I'm just like, I need to spend about 6 months in the States just visiting everywhere that I want to go.
You need to get
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about that in a few months on my show, aren't we?
Yes.
We are. Yes.
Can't wait.
You're going to be my guest.
That's right. Yes.
We're
Just
gonna be
drill
under
us.
the gun.
Just drill us with your questions. I'll make sure that I have a few drinks before.
Once I've done my 10 hours worth of research on the place, you'll be like, I've been going there like 10 years and I didn't know that. That's my normal trick.
Yep, I will be like that because I'll be like, holy smokes, I did not know that. I'm still learning new things about that place, every time I go.
Yeah. No, I love doing the research for my shows and stuff because I go into a research rabbit hole, and it's like I've been sort of read up one thing that leads you onto another that leads you onto another. And like 6 hours down the line, my husband will be like, "Are you gonna stop and have some dinner?" And I'm like, "Oh crumbs, okay, sorry."
Just throw something in my face.
Yeah, so it has been when I've been on a deadline for something, he has literally brought me food to my computer because I'm so deep into the research. It's quite addictive. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is a novel question here that I'm writing down before I lose it on chat because more stuff is coming through and it's like
really? Oh, brilliant. Okay.
Oh my goodness!
God, yeah,
I feel like I'm writing a book, but I also write like my letters are like this big. So
I've got to ask the listeners though. I mean, I normally get comments about my accent normally from American and Canadian listeners. It's normally my accent that does it. I get requests to say certain things in an English accent, which has me in hysterics.
They haven't yet.
No? Okay.
No, they haven't said anything yet. Nope.
Oh,
there goes Kim's computer. You need to update your virus protection.
That always comes up, even if I did update it.
I know. All right, let's see here. Okay, next question is, what's the one experiment you want to do that you haven't done yet?
Ooh. I can't think what it's called. I'd like to use a Tesla coil to see if that gave. I'd like to do an experiment. I saw it done on Tennessee Race Chasers did it, and they had 3 or 4 different types of energy producing. So one was kinetic, one was heat, one was. I'd love to have a go at doing something like that, and seeing if one gets drained more than the. I'd like to have a go at that sometime, if that answers the question. So, but I'd love to have a go with a Tesla coil. I was on a group once, and they had one going, but unfortunately, I wasn't in that particular group that was had the Tesla, and. So if anyone listening in the UK knows how to build a Tesla coil and wants to run it with me on an experiment, I'd love to have a go. Yes.
There we go. Yes.
Yeah, so a Tesla coil. Yeah.
Build Penny a Tesla coil. Chop chop.
Yes, please.
Okay, this one's... I can't even read it. No, I can't read my own writing.
I was writing, but... They said they love your accent.
Yeah, they just...
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to skip that question. I'll have to... Kim could probably scroll through. It's bad. I can't even read it. It's like going like this up the page and down. Okay, next one. Okay, what's been your favorite EVP that you've caught?
Probably the one I got at Ettington recently when I asked what battle were you in, and it came up with an answer, and it wasn't the answer we were expecting. And I know you're going to ask me what the battle was, and right now my mind's gone completely blank, but it wasn't the one we were expecting. It was about 300 years before what we were expecting for the person who was buried there. It was one of the Wars of the Roses battles, I think. No, it was the 100 Years battle, French battle of, oh, crumbs, what was it? I can't even think now. I'll remember it in a minute, but that's probably one of them, because it was just a really, well, people can't see, I'm actually Googling it now, the 100 Years French War. It was just, yeah, it was just not, I didn't expect it. And we didn't hear it at the time, and it was only when Jane was playing back her Agincourt was the battle. He said Agincourt, which I say was about 300 years before we were expecting this person to say. The person we thought was going to say one a lot later than that. So, and it was quite, when you played it back, you can hear Agincourt after my question. So that was quite cool. And I don't tend to focus on pure EVP. I like spirit box work, which I guess is a form of EVP. I think the best one I've ever got on that, well, the ones I got at Tibenham were quite good, because the minute we went out my husband and I went out onto the runway with the spirit box, we had this American voice communicating with us, and it was the same voice every question. And it couldn't have been radio pickup, because we checked, there was no radio, there was no signal, there was no radio pickup. That was pretty impressive, because it kept telling us something that I didn't think anything of it. I was writing it down. But then when I told my dad about the information, he was like, hang on, because he's got a whole sort of database of the flights that went out from there during the war. And he came and gave me the information, and it transpired it was someone who'd gone out and not come back the day before we were there. So I think we were there on like the 28th of November. I can't remember the exact date. This guy had gone out the 27th of November back in 44, I think it was, and never come back. Oh, wow. And that was quite chilling. I think the one that's actually put shivers up my spine was when I was at the True Crimes Museum, and this is in the first book as well. And I think the woman who was talking to me was the serial killer Amelia Dyer, and she was giving me multi-syllable answers to my questions, which I was then able to verify the information afterwards. That one actually did send shivers up my spine, thinking if it was her I was talking to. It may not have been, but she was giving me answers to things that I didn't know at the time, and I had witnesses to these answers. So, but yeah, nothing. No, I'm not done pure EVP, pure just digital recorder asking questions. I like you. I like the spirit box. I like using other things as well. But those are probably some of the ones that really stand out for me. If that answers the question.
Yes, it does. And I think I found that question here.
Yeah.
It's actually from Christopher, and he wanted to know if you think graveyards count as an investigation.
Oh, good question. Yes and no. I have never specifically gone into a graveyard looking for contact, but I have had contact. To give you, there's an old church in Essex, the county I live in, that burned down in the 70s. There's been lots of false information put around about it. And I was going to be doing an investigation in the actual church. Old church is derelict; it's a ruin, but the graveyard is still an operating graveyard. So you've got to be respectful, because there's people buried there. There's people whose loved ones are buried there. And I went looking around there. It's beautiful. It's so relaxing. And it was strange that I sort of went walking about, and the first graves I stumbled upon were these two young men who died in they died in World War One. These were memorial graves to them because their bodies were interred in France. And didn't think anything of it. But when I went to try and find them again, I couldn't find these graves. Yet I found them straight away the first time I went looking. when I started digging into the sort of details for the church, it transpires that their father was so distraught at the loss of his two sons. He was the priest, he was the vicar of the church. He commissioned a big stained glass window to be put in the church in memory of his two sons. And I subsequently found out that when the church burned down, this glass was one of the first things to melt and blow. And when I went back there with a medium, I hadn't told her any of this. Mm-hmm. She started picking up on this father who'd lost his two sons, and she was describing, like, I didn't tell her any of the information until afterwards, and she was saying how one of them, she said, my chest hurts, my stomach hurts, and I was telling her, because I'd found out what had happened to these two boys. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find that gravestone again for love nor money. Oh. But when first time I went there, I'd been directed straight there. Now, I wasn't investigating it, I was just looking round, like taking it in and seeing what the place was like and whether it would be suitable for an investigation. The church. Mm-hmm. So whether that counts as an investigation the first time round, I don't know. I didn't go there with the intent on the first time round of doing an investigation. I had no gadgets with me. It was just me. But I went there to see what it was like and just absorb the atmosphere. Now, whether you class that as an investigation, I don't know. It's up to you, but it was definitely strange. The fact that I got almost directed, and they're in the. I did subsequently find them again because I looked at the map of the thing. Mm-hmm. But I was like, I don't know how I got led here first time round. Right. It's not easy to find these two boys' graves. So I almost felt the first time I went there, someone wanted me to find them. Someone wanted me to tell their story. I don't know. So. But I don't tend to investigate graveyards I like graveyards. Mm-hmm. I do find them very relaxing. Mm-hmm. I do like sort of reading the people's names and remembering them, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yep. And remembering who they were and sort of saying hello to them and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I would investigate a church. Mm-hmm. Don't know if I'd do a full-on investigation in a graveyard because I think you're kind of disturbing them. Mm-hmm. If they want to talk to you, they'll find you, is the way I kind of look at it. I don't judge anyone for how they do it. That's just my personal view. If they want to find me, like I think for some reason someone directed me to these boys' graves. I don't know who or what, but someone wanted me to find them. But no, I don't. But I do love visiting graveyards and walking around them and reading the names and like seeing the family links and just remembering these people that history's forgotten, really.
Right.
That's like when we found Henry.
Oh, yeah.
We just took our stuff over with us, and I set it down in front of his grave, not thinking. And I was just counting the graves and telling them we were sorry we forgot their flowers, because I've never seen flowers on those graves till we take them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so I was counting the graves, how many there were. And then that's when the machine was going off at Henry's, so we just started talking to him, and one thing led to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the sort of thing that I don't necessarily take flowers for all the graves in a graveyard because there's so many of them, but I do talk to them. I do, and it's like, I always say, it's all right if I step by you, and, because I've always been taught not to walk on a grave.
Right, yep.
I've always been taught to walk around them. Mm-hmm. Or if I have to step over, not to actually walk on the grave, it's like step over the space. I've always been taught to do that by my parents. So, I say I don't judge anyone. I mean, there are some graveyards that are meant to be haunted in England. If someone asked me, I probably would go there and look into it. But it's not something I do as a matter of course. But I do still chat to anything I hear or see. I think the most moved I've ever been, though, was I went to a World War II war grave in northern France, Normandy. And to say that I was literally had voices coming at me from every angle. And I mean, my husband actually made my kids leave me alone because he said it looked like I was actually in pain at times. He said you could see suddenly your arm was going, or he said you just had tears rolling down your face. Mm-hmm. And I just had to sit there for about half an hour and just sort of try and just take it. It was like I was being screamed at from every direction. Mm-hmm. It was quite hard. It was quite hard. And I only went there to say their names, to sort of American, English, German, French, whoever they were.
Mm-hmm.
They still died a horrible death. And
Right.
I mean, some of them, the inscriptions on some of their memorials were just, I really was sobbing my heart out. But I'd never investigate somewhere like that. I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Edinburgh's only got 36 stones. So
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some of these war ones have got like in the hundreds.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
the energy in them. I say my husband was like, "I'm going to take you out. You're not coming back again," because I was distraught. I wouldn't call myself a medium or a psychic, but I'm sensitive to things, and I was. Like he said, he said it looked like at times you were being shot, the way that you were sort of jerking back. And he said, "Did you know you're doing it?" I was like, "No, I was just walking up the aisles, reading their names and thanking them and saying I hope you're okay wherever you are." And but then I sat in like an area that you can sit in, sort of be quiet in, and I know I had my sunglasses on, but I just had tears rolling down my face. I just couldn't. It was hard. It's hard. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Okay, next question. Another one from Christopher. What are your thoughts on children going on investigations?
Okay. Well, my soon-to-be 11-year-old wants to do them. I've told him he can't do one at night with me until he's 16. However, you can investigate during the day. He has come to museums with me, and he's held the K2 while I've been in a room. He's asked questions. I don't see any problem with that. He's not in any danger because I'm with him. I feel if he gets scared by something, I remove him from the situation. We had an episode when he was 7 or 8, I think it was. We were walking the dog in these woods near where my parents live, and it was where there was a big US Air Force base. And I'd been getting stuff coming through on my Ovilus as we were walking around, and he was sort of asking questions, but then he started getting scared by something. So I said, okay, let's start walking home. We had the dog with us. We were out for a walk, and I could feel someone breathing on my neck behind me. Now he's in front of me, so I can keep an eye on my son, as you would, but I could feel someone was breathing on my neck, and I was trying really hard not to show because he was starting to get a bit jittery. And he turned around to me and went, "Mummy, who's following you?" And I was just like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Let's just get out of here." Now, I wasn't doing a full-on investigation. It was the middle of the day. We were walking a dog, but he sensed there was someone following me. So I'm kind of telling this person to stay where they are because they're not following me out of the woods. I'll come and talk to them again another time. So I have no issue doing that because I knew he wasn't in danger. He was just getting he felt he was being followed. It's that sixth sense. We all have it. But would I let him come on a nighttime one till 4 o'clock in the morning with me? No. Not until he's 16. But if he wants to come to a museum with me in the middle of the day and ask questions on a digital recorder to see if anything comes up, of course. I can't see. To me, that's no different to being in your own home that may be haunted and saying to a spirit in there at 10 years old, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And my theory is if he learns how to do it properly at this age, he'll be more respectful as he gets older anyway. So that's my personal viewpoint on it. I think there are some kids that can't handle it and who get very scared by it. My two have grown up knowing all about it. Knowing what mummy does, knowing that mummy comes home fine every single time. And they talk to me about it, especially the older one talks to me. He asks me questions. He asks me things like, how do you make sure you don't bring anything home with you? Has anything followed you? And I was like, yeah. So I've told it to go back. I've asked them to go back. I think, because I don't Hollywoodize it with him, he's not scared. But yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with kids being involved, but no, he's not allowed to come on a nighttime one with me until he's 16.
Cool.
Yeah, we let's see, I think my daughter was 14, I think, when we took her to Farrar. And I mean, she did okay in some parts, but up in the auditorium that freaked her out because she did see a shadow figure, and then she's like, there's too many of them up there, I can't handle that, because she can kind of sense those things. So she kind of stayed in the safe room or whatever, but there's been other times where she's like, I kind of want to go to Edinburgh, and I'm like, if you can't handle Farrar, you're not going to Edinburgh.
Farrar's miles.
I think it's up to it's dependent on the child. I don't think it's I think I can understand a lot of the ghost hunting groups having an 18 minimum for insurance purposes for everything else. If it's your own private team and you trust your child, I think, 13, 14, 15, if you know that they're capable of coping with what they're going to experience, you know your child.
Right.
But that's why I've said to my eldest is 16. If he's ready before that to come on a private one with me, I'll probably take him, but only if he wants to. But as I've said to him, it's this fallacy that you can only investigate at night. You can investigate any time of the day. The only reason we tend to do it at night is there's less noise and pollution, less people pollution.
Right, exactly.
But if you go to somewhere that's empty anyway, you can do it at 2:00 in the afternoon. It doesn't matter, and that's what I try to say to him. So that's why I say that yes, kids can get involved. Would I let him do, would I let him use a Ouija board? Probably not. Not that they frighten me, but I'd rather teach him the very basics first, using his senses, using just being friendly, using stuff that's not contentious to begin with, and then he can start learning about gadgets as he gets older. You're going to sneeze. Bless you.
Huh?
Bless you.
Thank you. I felt it coming. I usually have to do it I don't know. I'm just like allergic to something in Kim's house. I'm not
allergic to me.
I guess I'm allergic to you.
Because you do it on hunts too. So.
I do it on investigations too. Alright, let's see here. Okay, so we have 2 more questions here we'll get to, and then I kind of want you to plug your YouTube and where they can find you and all that jazz. Okay, so here's that long one. See if I can read my writing here. This is from Darren. How do you feel about virtual reality in the paranormal field? Like if you had cameras that were able to view the location across seas or to...
I'm hunting it.
Does he mean like if you've got a webcam in a different place and you're viewing... So say I was viewing Farrar from the UK via a webcam. Is that what he means?
Let's see here. Darren, you need to lay off the Mike's Hard Lemonade. Just going to put it out there. Let's see. This is what it says. How do you feel about virtual reality in the paranormal field? Like if the place had cameras to be able to view the location across seas. Yeah. And then to get a feel of it before you investigate it. So, like, basically, like, if you're looking at it, but, like, maybe there's, like, a virtual reality feeling to it, I'm assuming is what he means. Like, if you were to, like, put on that VR thing and, like, see the location through that and, like, you walk through it that way, I'm guessing I think that would be...
Okay, if that's what he means, I think that would be quite cool, because then you could be planning what you were going to do to make the best of your use of your time there and the best use of the space. That's one thing that I have learned from doing experiments for the second book is how to plan it a lot better and to make the best of what I've got. So being able to do a virtual reality walkthrough of a place, especially if I was like traveling to the States, for example, and I couldn't go in the day to get an idea of a place before I then went back in the evening. So yes, that would be fab. I wondered if he was talking about remote viewing, like almost not remote viewing as in the psychic thing, but remote viewing, like having a webcam and you can get the webcam to look in whichever room you want when you're online to check a place out. Because I know people who've done quite cool experiments where they've done that and they've set a mobile phone up and then gone out of it and gone on webcam and asked questions through the phone to see if it promotes anything on the camera and through the phone. And they've had success with that. So that's quite a cool one to do. But yeah, I think a virtual reality walkthrough of a place is to work out you're not going to get a sense of the place. Like, you're not going to be able to go in and feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand up and think there's something here. Mm-hmm. But to get an idea as to how you might want to conduct it and what rooms you might want to go into first and where you might want to set up a locked off camera. And yeah, I think that would be a fab idea.
Mm-hmm. Good question, Darren.
Interesting. Made me think.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, the last question is one that Darren usually asks. Is what's the one object in the world you never want to be haunted?
My toilet.
That one's a popular one.
That is a popular one.
All right, I'll think of something else.
No,
it's just a running question we have through all of our on Paranormal.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think you asked me this first time, and I can't remember what my answer was. But no, probably my toilet, or let me think. Oh, maybe my mobile phone, because wouldn't that be freaky if you kept phoning and things like maybe my mobile phone, but no, probably conventional thing, my toilet. I wouldn't particularly want that to be haunted.
No. Okay, and then the opposite of he wants to know what's the one thing you would want to be haunted.
Oh, crumbs. Well, I don't know. I mean, I could say something like my parents' house, but that sounds really horrible, doesn't it? That I could go and investigate there when I go to visit them. I don't know, actually. I mean, it would be cool to have a haunted piece of jewellery or something that you know had a connection and you could talk to the connection. That would be quite cool.
That would be cool.
Say a haunted piece of jewellery that you've acquired. That would be quite a cool one. Because it's so you've got someone who you talk to, and know that you're kind of the guardian for that piece of jewellery for them. That would be quite cool.
That is a good answer. We have not had that one yet. Top
I had to think about that.
Is toilet for
He said the number one answer is toilet.
Is it? Okay. Well, hopefully I can just be unique with the jewelry answer to the opposite question.
Yes.
I know what I wouldn't want to be haunted. A book. Because if people can't see me, but if you're sitting there reading a book and you're reading it like that, the next thing it keeps shutting on you, and where was I? That would be really annoying.
Man,
wouldn't
that
it?
Would make me so mad.
Yeah.
I hate losing my place in a book.
Exactly. So I wouldn't want a book to be haunted that kept shutting on me all the time.
Yes. Exactly.
There you go.
That's a good one too. That's a good one too. All right. So, where can people listen to your podcast? Where can they find your YouTube videos? Your books?
Yep. Well, the books are all on Amazon under Penny Griffiths Morgan. Podcasts are through Paranormal UK Radio. If you just Google that, you'll find all their links. The easy way to find everything I do is to go onto my website, hauntedhistories.co.uk. The links to everything I do is on there, whether it be the YouTube channel, whether it be the books, whether it be the magazines I've appeared in, because the new issue of Haunted magazine is out now. Again, people can't realise this, but I'm pointing to it right now on the camera.
I can see it.
That actually arrived today, so I put a link up to that as well on the website, so people can go direct to their page when I get round to doing it. All my blogs are on the website. I also have a Haunted Histories Facebook page that I share a lot of stuff to. Haunted Histories Twitter account as well. But yeah, the easiest thing is find my website. I put the links up to all the podcasts I do. Everything's on there. The podcast is primarily on Podbean, I believe, but it's also on Spotify and everything else you can think of. And the one I've just released on Monday, one interviewing Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations, all about Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. That was a really interesting one. And the next one I'm doing, because I go all over the place, as you know, I'm going to be doing one on a place called Anzio Army Camp in England with two lovely ladies called Pamela and Jeanette, who are sisters who make up a group called Spooky Sisters UK. So yes, so we're going to be talking about that one. So, but all the podcast links, say, just go to the website and you'll find everything on there. And if you want to give me a follow on Twitter, say hi on Twitter. Go and join the Haunted Histories page on Facebook, and just enjoy it all, really.
Yes. If you're not following her already, you need to do so. And I will post all the info on our social media as well. So if people forget, they'll see it on our social media as well. So
I just got to thinking about a book.
Huh?
What if it had pictures and they started moving and talking to you strange?
Oh, yeah, if your book was haunted, yeah.
Yeah.
But see, that would also be quite cool once you stop freaking out about it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But no, it's more the fact if a book I'm reading it and it just keeps shutting on me or changing the page or whatever, that would be really annoying. Or the other thing is if it kept taking the last page out of it, as you went to get to the end of it and you were missing the last page because whatever it was, it thought, haha, I'm going to create a blank page, that sort of thing. Yeah, creating mischief with a book would be annoying.
Yeah. It would be. It just pissed me off to no end. To be blunt. All right. So I'm just going to give quick shout outs here to everybody who was in chat tonight. We had myself, we had Shay, we had Kim, we had Darren, we had Matt, we had Eye Beholder, we had Christopher, Mama Deb, and Holly. So I want to thank everybody who was in chat tonight. Thank you for everybody who was not in chat but listening. We appreciate I can't even talk. Appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you tune in to Shay's show tomorrow night. I believe Darren's going to be on her show tomorrow night. So check that one out. Make sure you guys have a lot of questions for him. Is it a live show or is it a recording?
I don't know.
Anyways, you'll find out. Listen to her tomorrow night, 8/7 Central. Thank you again, Penny, for staying up and being on our show tonight.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, guys.
I loved it. I loved it when we did the pre-recorded. We had a lot of people saying they wanted you on live. They were saying in tonight that they just absolutely loved you. So,
oh, thank you, everyone.
Yes,
it's always good fun.
It was a lot of fun, and so thank you for staying up with us tonight. And you can go get some sleep now.
It's recorded.
Okay, and Shay's show is recorded tomorrow night, but still, give it a listen. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for listening to REP Paranormal and Friends. Be sure to check out Kim and Allison on Facebook at REP Paranormal Busters.